My best friend has lost his wife. I asked my wife to talk to him as she has also lost a loved one. I just found out that they are sleeping together. I don't even know where to start. I can't describe how I feel right now or how to process any of this. I met my wife, let's call her Sue, in college. We were both 18 at the time. We hit it off on our first date and were spewing I love yous within weeks of dating. And when her dad passed away her senior year of college, I was there for her through the whole ordeal. My best friend, let's call him Dave, and I had what I can only describe as an unbreakable brotherly bond. Or so I thought. We had known each other since the 3rd grade, and he was the brother I never had. He was also married and had moved away with his wife because she had landed a lucrative job with a large law firm. About a year ago, his wife died in a car accident, and he was devastated. He moved back to our hometown, but he was never the same. I tried to be there for him, but he wouldn't get involved with anyone. No one understood the pain he was going through. So, I asked my wife if she could talk to him, as she had also lost a loved one, and that maybe Dave could relate better to someone who was going through something similar. Yes, I know now that this was a huge mistake. We visited him daily. She would spend hours at his house even when I was not there. They went on hikes together, watched movies without inviting me, went out for lunch, all the things couples do. Now, obviously, this was far more interaction than I had intended for them to have, and it made me uncomfortable, but Dave was much better off for it. It's important to say that Dave and Sue never liked each other before all this happened. This is because Sue always thought he was a jerk. Before he married his wife, Dave was jumping from relationship to relationship, and even after he was with his late wife, he was constantly cheating on her. As a result, Sue had a special dislike for him and always wondered how I could be friends with someone with such low morals. This disdain for Dave is also what made me oblivious to what was to come. As I mentioned, Sue and Dave became inseparable, to the point where she would invite him to things I had planned for us as a couple. In addition, she began to exhibit what I now know to be classic cheater behavior. Always on her cell phone, increasingly distant, little to no intimacy, and coming home very late. At this point, it was all too suspicious, and one day she was texting and I asked who she was talking to. She said it was one of her friends, and when I asked to see what they were saying, she got very upset and called me possessive. When I talked to Dave about how uncomfortable her friendship was making me, he assured me that nothing was up and even accused me of not trusting him and my own wife. I was being gaslit. This went on until one day Sue went out again. She said she was going to her sister's for the weekend because she needed some space from me because I was driving her crazy with my accusations. I was still very suspicious and called her sister to confirm that she was indeed expecting Sue to visit. She confirmed that she was, but that Sue had not yet arrived. Mind you, she had left around 3 p.m. and her sister's place is about 4 hours away from where we live, and it was now 10 p.m. Something in the back of my head told me to go to my friend's house, so I did. Sure enough, my wife's car was parked a few feet from my friend's house. At this point, it was clear as day what was going on, and I hate to admit it, but I was crying. Hard. After a few minutes, I decided to go inside and see if this was really happening. I went in through the back door, which I knew was open. I quietly made my way in and could hear my wife moaning. I was shaking. When I made it to the door of his bedroom, I could see through the creaking. My wife, bent over his bedside table. I'll never get that image out of my head. I'm literally crying as I write this. I pushed the door wide open and they both froze, staring at me. It took every ounce of my being not to hit Dave. I just walked away and got into my car. I could hear them fighting and my wife started yelling at me to stop and that she could explain. I didn't want to look at them. I don't know what I would have done, so I just drove away. I cried all the way home and they both kept calling me. I went to one of my college friends and have been here for the last week or so. I can't eat, I can't sleep, and I can't think about anything else. I told my work what was going on and they were kind enough to give me time off. I've gotten phone calls from both Dave and Sue and both of our families. I let my family know I was okay and would be back soon, but I haven't responded to anyone else since. This hurts. So much. I want to be buried. I want to be gone from this world, but I'm too much of a coward to do it myself. I'm trying to be strong, but my resolve is wavering. How can someone you loved so selflessly do this? I don't know what to do. How do I deal with this? Please help me. Update 1. 7 days after first post. First of all, I want to thank you all for your support and advice. You have all made this time in my life somewhat bearable. Some of you shared your own stories and made me realize that this is something I can come back from. I had a lot of thoughts about deleting myself, but I think I'm past that now. Thank you for caring. Many of you have been asking for an update, so here it is. I don't know what to make of this. There are many more emails like this, but I wanted to share this one because it confused me. I definitely don't know the person I married. What do you make of this? Email from the wife.
I know you need your space right now, and I'm the last person you want to talk to, but I can't help myself. I feel like I'm going insane. I never wanted any of this to happen. You are the last person I ever wanted to hurt. And knowing how much pain and suffering I've caused you is a new kind of hell for me. It hurts, but I know you're hurting more. My relationship with Dave began innocently. I never intended for it to go anywhere near as far as it did. It just happened. I'm not going to lie to you and say this is the first time this has happened. We've had sex several times, as I'm sure you already know. You always knew. You're a very smart man, and that's one of the many things I adore about you. However, my relationship with Dave only became physical for about a week before you found out. The rest of the time it was just emotional. We connected on a much deeper level than I intended, and things just escalated from there. I know you brought us together with all the right intentions. You are the most caring person I have ever known, and I don't even know where to begin to describe how sorry I am for what I did to you. I'll never forget the hurt I saw in your eyes when you found out, and I'll live with that guilt for the rest of my life. I have feelings for Dave, I won't deny that. But those feelings are nowhere near as strong as the feelings I have for you. I love you so much, you're my soulmate. My everything. I know my actions say otherwise, but it's the truth. Don't ever question my love for you. It's real. This part of our relationship has always been real. I don't know why I did it. I think it was the excitement of something new and the taboo of the whole situation, as cold as it sounds. I'm not trying to hurt you by saying this. I'm just trying to be honest. I really don't know why I would do this to you of all people. I'm a vile, selfish person. I can't deny that. I did something unforgivable, and all I can do is ask for forgiveness. That's how selfish I am. I'm a hypocrite and I know it. You have every right to hate me, and no one can blame you. But I want you to know that what I did had nothing to do with you. It wasn't your fault at all. Dave and I took advantage of your kindness, and I am sorry. I am. So is he. There are so many things I want to say to you, but they need to be said in person. Take all the time you want, but please, I'm begging you. Give me a chance to make this right. Please come home. I love you.
As many of you suggested, as well as family and friends, I contacted an attorney and met with her yesterday. I gave her all the details, and she seems very motivated to help me come out of this as financially whole as possible given the circumstances. I still love my wife very much, but I don't know if I can get over this. I have also received many messages from Dave, but I don't want to read them. I often go from sad to angry and don't know how to feel right now. Should I try to see if reconciliation is possible, or should I just end this marriage now and save myself more heartbreak? My family knows everything. Apparently, Sue has confessed what she did to everyone. I've been away from everyone for over 2 weeks now, and I still don't know what to do. The pain is still fresh. Every time I close my eyes, I can't see anything but Sue and Dave together, and the pain doesn't seem to go away. I know most of you say just get a divorce, and I would say the same thing, but things aren't so black and white when you're the one in this situation. With all this new information, I'd appreciate any advice, especially from people who have been here before. Betrayed spouses and wayward people. How did you manage to get over it? Is it even possible? At this point, I'm almost certainly going to move forward with the divorce, but I just need reassurance that I'm making the right decision. I've read all your comments and felt the need to add this. I have been told by her as well as family and friends that she has been living with her sister for the past few weeks. In one of her emails, she stated that she had only spoken to Dave once since I found out and went full no contact with him. Her mother called me and apologized via text for her daughter's behavior. I didn't return her calls. She said that Sue is in individual counseling right now. In another one of her emails, she said that she would never leave me for Dave. She has feelings for him, but she doesn't love him. What? Dave is supposedly leaving soon, but is apparently holding off until he talks to me face to face. There's a lot of other stuff I haven't touched on, and I'm probably leaving out some details, but some of my family and friends say I should just talk to her and move on from there. This is where I am now. OP replies, giving us more details. Thank you for your encouraging words. It's hard for me to take her honesty as a good thing without feeling like she's trying to hurt me, especially since I never asked her to send me this email. I never asked for any details, and I thought she'd respect me enough to give me some time before contacting me. She sent me over 100 texts and emails, and in some of them she gives way more details than I want. And I never asked for them. But I see your point. In one of her emails, she said she was glad I found out, though not in the way I did. She said she didn't think she would have had the guts to tell me. Ever. So, I don't know how to feel about this. I guess only time will tell. Her sister didn't know about the affair. The night I found out, she was supposed to be at her sister's, but she wasn't there. She told me that her sister hadn't arrived and that she didn't know where she was. I don't think she would have told me that if she knew about her. He's not at my house. He has his own place. He's planning on moving to another state. I don't know where. She sent me her entire text history. Every single one. Or so she says. On the day she says was the last time, she told him that they couldn't see each other anymore and that it would be the last time they ever spoke. But again, that's what she said. Who knows what's really going on? Update 2, 40 days after last update. So, I took some time off from Reddit and other social media to reflect on my marriage and the steps I wanted to take moving forward. I got a lot of advice from the kind people on here, as well as family and friends, but I wasn't sure what I really wanted. A lot has happened since then, so this could be a novel. Bear with me. When I looked back on the marriage, most of it was filled with nothing but happy memories, which is why I tried so hard to find a reason to stay. But when I started to think about her cheating, how she and Dave had gaslit me and made me question my sanity, the only thing I felt was anger. The deeper I looked, the angrier I got. I'll never forget how angry Sue got when I questioned her about where she'd been when she came home late, or the disgusted look Dave gave me when I asked him, man to man, if there was anything going on between him and my wife. The cheating was bad enough, and even worse that it was with my best friend. But the gaslighting. I will never get over that. Granted, I was played for the fool I was, but it takes a special kind of person to lie so effortlessly and so well. I don't know how they flipped the switch like that. I remember one night when she came home late, about 2 days before I found out, she told me how much she loved me and how horny she was driving home thinking about me. Now I'm almost sure she came home from Dave's because she wasn't wearing any panties. She had sex with both of us back to back. I bloody kissed her. The whole situation made me feel like a wimp. How could I let her walk all over me like that? I feel so emasculated. The more I thought about it, the more I felt the urge to go to Dave. But I couldn't. There is no justice for me, not with our justice system. They can torture me, attack me mentally, but if I retaliate, I'm the one who gets put in jail for who knows how long. I talked to my lawyer about this, and she told me not to do anything stupid. Not only would I go to jail, but I would jeopardize my chances in the divorce proceedings. She suggested I see a therapist, but I don't want to. I don't see the need. I was still getting spammed with emails from Sue, and they only made me angrier. She was still spewing the same nonsense as before and how miserable her life would be without me. She even had the nerve to send me Bible verses about forgiveness. If I was so important, why do this? I started going back to work because I wanted to be busy. Being distracted has really helped me cope better, and I don't drink as much as I used to. One day at work I got a letter from Sue. I wanted to throw it away, but I decided to read it. In it, she talked about her individual counseling and how it helped her discover some underlying issues she had with herself. The biggest of these was her low self-esteem. She explained that the discrepancy in our attractiveness made her very self-conscious and that deep down she wanted to feel wanted by someone other than me. According to her, her sister has always been much prettier than her, and this contributed to her low self-esteem. She said that even though she knew I was attracted to her and that I made her feel beautiful, she sorts of got that validation from someone else. She apologized again and said that it wasn't an excuse, but that she was just looking for a way to make sure it never happened again if I decided to give her another chance. She then asked if we could try marriage counseling to work things out. I still didn't respond to anything she or her family sent me at that point. So, I just ignored them. Anyway, I started the divorce proceedings, and the first order of business was to divide our finances, and unfortunately, I couldn't separate from her without her consent. We each have separate accounts, as well as a joint savings account, and unfortunately, I can't take what I'm entitled to without her. Even though I make significantly more than her and have contributed the most to the money in that account, I'll probably have to split it with her 50-50. So I just went ahead and filed the divorce papers. She was served a few weeks ago, and then the shit show started. The same day she was served, she showed up at my apartment with the divorce papers in hand. I don't know how she knew where I was. We just stared at each other for what seemed like forever, and all the pain from that night came back. All the emotions I felt came back with a vengeance. I almost cried again, but I didn't. She looked as if she had been crying and rushed towards me, trying to hug me. I gently pushed her away, which somehow made her hysterical. She started screaming, asking why I was giving up on us so easily, and if we could just talk it out. At that point, I just wanted to get away from her. Looking at her sent a wave of different emotions through me, so I wanted to get away before I did or said anything I would regret. I tried to walk back to my car, and she threw herself on the hood. I asked her what she wanted, and she said she just wanted to talk things through, that we couldn't end our marriage like this without at least clearing the air. I relented because she clearly would not take no for an answer and was making a scene. We went to my apartment and I just sat down and listened to what she had to say. Again, she said she would do anything to save our marriage, that she didn't love Dave, that she was sorry. She said she had done some research on how to move forward and suggested a trial separation. In this separation, she said I could date whomever I wanted, but that I should hold off on the divorce and at least give her a chance to mend our friendship and then our relationship as husband and wife. She suggested a lot of other crazy stuff like a lopsided open marriage in my favor, tried to show me stories of other couples who survived infidelity, and even suggested that we should just move to another state or even another country, just the two of us. This part kind of hurt me because we had talked about moving and starting our family not too long before all this shit happened. When she was done, we just sat there in silence, staring at each other again. And then I asked her why. Why him? Why cheat on me with him and then come back after I caught her? She started sobbing really hard as I asked these questions. She said that she felt really guilty even during the acts, but that she didn't know how to stop. That she was so deep into the affair that she didn't think about the consequences and what she was losing. She said that the counseling made her realize that she probably would have cheated on me at some point, if not with Dave, then with someone else. This was supposedly because of the same underlying issues that she was unaware of. I asked her if she loved Dave, and she promised me that she didn't, that they hadn't spoken since I left, and that she didn't even know where he was now, that she only loved me and would do anything to make up for what she had done to us. I asked her if she had ever cheated on me before all this, and she swore on her dead father that this was the first and last time. I asked her who else knew about her and Dave. She hesitated and said only her sister, but that she only found out a few days before I found out, and that she begged her to stop and come clean with me. Those of you who suggested that the sister knew were right. I also asked her why she was begging, why she didn't just leave to be with Dave. I asked her if she was just doing it because she thought it was the right thing to do, and not because she really wanted to be with me. She replied that she was doing it because she loved me and because she knew she had made some terrible choices. We talked for a long time. A lot of crying on her part, but not on mine. I had cried enough when I first found out, and I didn't have any more tears to shed over this. Then I asked her if there was anything else she wanted to tell me, if there was anything else she was hiding. She started sobbing again and asked me not to get angry. I got really nervous when she said that. She cried for a while before I urged her to just say it because she was making me uncomfortable. Then it came out. She said that she found out she was pregnant not long after I left, and that she had an abortion because she wasn't sure who the father was. She said she thought if it turned out to be Dave's, there would be no room for reconciliation, and she felt she had to do it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was in shock, and she started begging even more not to let this be the end of our relationship. I just went numb. I asked her to leave, and she begged me to stay, that we still had to talk. All this begging was just infuriating. Update 3, 178 day after last update. I was hoping that my last update would be my last post on this subject, but here I am again. It's been about 8 months since my life turned into a shit show, and unfortunately for me, things just keep getting worse. I won't go into detail, but I hope I can give enough to get some constructive feedback from you here. You've been much more helpful than you know. The last time I posted, Sue was in a pretty bad mental state, and luckily, she got better after some therapy. I felt really bad for her, but I knew I couldn't stay. I know a lot of people have made it through this kind of stuff, but I know myself. If I had stayed, I'd have done myself and her more harm than good. I'll never get over it, and I'll probably carry some resentment for a few years. We agreed to divorce, but she wanted us to stay in contact, even if it was minimal. The divorce process was pretty smooth, and we got divorced about a month ago. I moved to the West Coast to start over and things were finally looking up for me. But then I got another call about Sue from her sister. To make a long story short, Sue had a stroke. She is almost completely immobile on the left side of her body and can barely speak. I can't even put into words how devastating that was to hear, let alone how crushed I felt when I went to visit her. She didn't look like the person I knew, and she always cried when she saw me. One of the worst parts of all this is that I can't help but feel like it's my fault that this happened to her. People tell me it's not, but I feel like it is. Even though her closest family says it's not my fault, I can feel some hostility from them whenever I talk to them. Her aunt cursed me in front of everyone when she saw me, and they were all silent. They just told me to leave it alone and move on with my life. As much as I wish I could just move on, it still hurts knowing how all this shit turned out. I haven't spoken to Sue since the stroke, and her family won't let me see her because apparently I'm causing her stress. I don't even know all the details because I don't have the right to know anymore. I just can't seem to get a break. To hell with me, I guess.